Good afternoon, everyone. That's horrible. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I'm getting you ready for Sarah. She's a teacher, so when you all don't respond, she gets very specific. Good afternoon, and my name is Alita Williams. I am president for 4 more weeks of the Rotary Club of Chicago. I'm not happy at all about that. And I'd like to welcome you to the 5,702nd meeting of the Rotary Club. And with that, if Lisa would like to come up and give the thought of the day. Lisa, did you forget? Did you forget, Lisa? It's okay.
I have to admit, I really did. I intended to be here, but let me just say it is absolutely wonderful to see this group of people, to be here on this gorgeous day, and thank you, Arne Duncan, for being with us and sharing something that is very important for us to hear. And I just want to wish everybody in this room a safe and beautiful, wonderful summer. I hope I see you, and take good care of yourselves. Do not break your elbow like I did a couple of months ago. And it's just wonderful to see everybody. Sorry I didn't have other remarks prepared. There you go. Amen.
Sorry, I moved the sign. I was supposed to put it back. So with that, we have our annual kayak cleanup, river cleanup on June 9th. So it's one of our signature service projects now that everyone really likes, and lunch included. So volunteers should bring their own trash bags and gloves. But you can start registering now so that we can know how many kayaks that we need. And then on Monday, June 17th, we are packing art kits for Snow City Arts on 710 South Paulina. So we packed them that provides education and art therapy for children who are in the hospital. So that's really awesome, and it's a lot of fun. And then this is one of our new service projects, volunteering with Spectrum Sailing. They help teach children on the autism spectrum how to sail. So if you would like to come and help be an instructor and volunteer with them, please sign up. You can email Sarah Buck with any questions. She is currently in Singapore, so she may not answer you until next week. So don't think she's not answering you, but she's on the other side of the world. And help us earn money by doing volunteer hours at the Square Roots Festival. The link is now open. It's on July 12th through the 14th. That is also the same time that we are packing at the Jesse White Trunk Party on July 13th. So I am going to volunteer on the 14th because the 12th and the 13th I'll be at the Jesse White Trunk Party, which we also help support. But we receive cash for volunteering. So if you sign up, be sure to put in the Rotary Club of Chicago. For that, shifts are assigned on a first come, first served basis if it's not already full. But if you have questions, Melissa right there can answer those for you. I know, put you on the spot. Sorry, Melissa. Our dictionary project is back. So we go out to Chicago Public Schools and we give out dictionaries to 3rd graders. It's an amazing opportunity to see these students really light up when they get their first book that's theirs. And a lot of kids always say, do I have to share this with my brother and sister? And I say, no, it's yours. You get to take it home, put your name in it. You don't have to leave it at the school. It's your book. And for so many of those students, it's the first book that they get. And so that's the time where we want to get them involved and loved in reading. And with that, we have a wonderful speaker today, Arne Duncan. If everyone can please honor everyone's time and keep your questions succinct, 1 question per person. I know my Rotarians have a hard time with that, but Mr. Duncan is on a very tight schedule today, so I will hold you to one question per person. Anyone on our Zoom, please put your questions into the chat. And with that, Arne Duncan, managing partner of Emerson Collective. Arne Duncan served as the U.S. Secretary of Education from January 2009 through December 2015 as part of the Obama administration. Prior to joining the Obama administration, Duncan served as Chief Executive Officer of Chicago Public Schools from 2001 to 2008. Duncan won praise for uniting the city stakeholders behind an education agenda that included opening 100 new schools, expanding after school, summer learning, early childhood, and college access programs, dramatically boosting the caliber of teachers and building public-private partnerships around a variety of education initiatives. He currently leads Chicago's CRED, a nonprofit trying to achieve a transformative reduction in gun violence in Chicago. Through partnership with local business leaders, community organizers, and nonprofit groups, Duncan aims to provide outreach, therapeutic, education, and employment opportunities for the young men most likely to be engaged in gun violence. He is also the managing partner at Emerson Collective, an organization dedicated to removing barriers so people can live to their full potential. Secretary Duncan graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University in 1987, majoring in sociology. At Harvard, he served as co-captain of the basketball team and was named a first-team academic All-American. Arne is Distinguished Senior Fellow at the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy and serves on the boards of Ariel Investments, Communities in Schools, Eat, Learn, Play, Edmentum Education Advancement, Harvard University, My Brother's Keeper Alliance, National Association of Basketball Coaches, Ring Central, and Schoolhouse.world. Wow, he does a lot. And with that, I produce Mr. Duncan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here today. I'll keep my remarks pretty brief and look forward to your questions. This, unfortunately, is a tough topic, but that's reality. We are coming off, you may or may not know, a very, very tough weekend in the city in terms of gun violence. These holiday weekends are ones that we dread. We work as hard as we can on. I'm a little fatigued. We were out late most nights. We move a set of our guys out of town. We move a set of our guys out of town to try and keep them safe and community safe. We had people in Houston this weekend, in Wisconsin, and DC, trying to do what we can, but it was still a very, very tough weekend that we have to work our way out of. I'll step back, sort of bigger picture, trying to explain, well, why I do this, what we're trying to do, what the results are, and where we're trying to go. This work, unfortunately, comes from I always have to be honest, from a place of pain. I grew up playing basketball on the south and west sides of Chicago. Started to lose friends to gun violence when I was a teen. Fast forward 20 years to leading the Chicago Public Schools. Lots I'm proud of during that time. Happy to come back another time and talk about our success stories. But on my watch, on my 7.5 years, very tragically, we had on average a Chicago Public School student killed every 2 weeks due to gun violence. It was a staggering rate of loss. And that was by far the hardest part of my job, and everything else, academic achievement, labor management, budget operations. I don't say that was easier, but it was wildly easier than dealing with that loss and meeting families after they had just lost their child and going to classrooms with a class of traumatized kids. My wife and I had 2 young kids at that point, and that got progressively harder. And I don't think I know that whatever we can think of ourselves, adults, educators, leaders, that we fail to keep our kids safe on the south and west sides. Coming back from DC, this felt like the crisis facing the city. I didn't feel it was being addressed, quite honestly. I have to say we're motivated by our successes, but we're haunted by our failures. I really felt that we had failed here. And we've been at this work for 7.5 years. It's sort of staggering how fast time goes. So we started with 25 guys in a room about a third or fourth of the size of this room. On the far south side, going back to fall of 2016, we now operate 8 sites across the city, 3 west, 4 south, and an employment and training center. We work with over 1,000 men, women, and we have teens. Unfortunately, we're now down to 12-year-olds because that's who's shooting and being shot in our city. Not where we want to be, but where we need to be. We have a youth center. As you heard, we try and do a number of different things. We have an outreach team. These are guys that formerly were in the streets, but they've turned their lives around. They're basically our HR function. They recruit young men and women into our program. They do extraordinary work. They also put in place non-aggression agreements and peace treaties. When folks come in, everyone is given a life coach, a mentor. We say all the time that experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your own experience. You can learn from somebody else. Those life coaches are critical to the transformation that we try and see in our men and women over time. Everyone has a clinician, a therapist, and I never want to say one of our pillars is more important than the other, but helping our men and women heal from trauma, I'll just say there's nothing more important than that. And there's a truism that hurt people, but people who are healing can not just heal themselves, but help to heal their families and the community. And that healing piece is not an overnight journey. It's something over time, but it's critically important. We have an education team. We've gotten lots and lots of guys high school diplomas. We do an amazing graduation ceremony every August. Had some going to college. And then we have a jobs team. And our goal is to move folks from the illegal economy, which unfortunately far too often leads to violence here in Chicago, to the legal economy. We have about 40 employers who are hiring in about 16 different industries. And seeing folks, we've been at it long enough. It's we have one guy who's been in a law firm for 6 years now. Actually met him in Cook County Jail. We have folks in construction and carpentry and manufacturing and healthcare. They have many, many different interests like all of us do, and we try and really match people carefully with a sector that they feel passionate about and want to do. Some folks have worked before. Some folks have never had a job in the legal economy before, so we really try and go through that process carefully. People spend about a year to 18 months with us. Last step is they go to our employment and training center. That's like our finishing school, where they do the hard and soft skills, resume building, job shadowing, career days, and then figure out the next step. So we learn by doing. We make a lot of mistakes every day. Hopefully making very different mistakes than we started years ago, but we're constantly trying to just get better and get better at giving folks a chance to turn their lives around and do something very, very different. We track the data extraordinarily carefully. There's a lot of heart in our work, but it has to be really driven by the head. Northwestern University Corners is our third-party evaluator. It's so important you have that out external look. Our numbers show over time a 73% reduction in violent arrests. So we're very proud of that. We're always trying to get those numbers better. In the neighborhoods where we're working, Roseland on the far south side, North Lawndale on the west side, those neighborhoods the past couple of years are getting safer more than twice as fast as the rest of the city. They are still too violent, including this weekend in both those communities. But those neighborhoods that are the top 7, 8 in terms of violence in Chicago, if they're getting better faster than the rest of the city, they're actually driving down the city's numbers. Chicago, big picture, not to overwhelm you with numbers and data. Chicago's the third largest city in the country, as you know. Every year we have way more homicides and shootings than either New York or LA. Some years we have almost more than them combined, which makes no sense. We are the anomaly. We are the absolute outlier. And for me, there's no reason we should be like this in our city here. So we're trying to absolutely change that over the next 5 years. Final thing I'll say, and just open it up, so a lot to throw out, you can take your questions, is we're really trying to scale our work now with a number of other community partners who are in this violence prevention space. There are 15 neighborhoods, south and west sides, that drive 80% of the violence in Chicago. If we can scale the kind of intervention and prevention work we're doing, give people an off-ramp, from a life on the streets, we think we can take Chicago to a dramatically safer place and better place. Our goal is at least a 50% reduction in violence over the next 5 years. We have the next 2 neighborhoods chosen, Austin, the west side, and Humboldt Park, another 2 after that, another 2 after that. We're working hard to raise money from the private sector and the public sector as well. Philanthropy has been very, very generous. Many corporations here have been very generous. I always say that ultimately public safety is a public good, and we need the public, the city, the county, the state, and the feds to invest in this off-ramp. I'm trying to set up what I call a permanent public health infrastructure. What we've had historically, we had sort of a one-size-fits-all solution to violence, which was the police. I'm always very, very careful. I say here, we work with some extraordinary police officers, including literally this morning, I was talking to one about a situation. But structurally in the communities where we work, trust with the police is broken. And in our neighborhoods, if you commit homicide, that has an arrest rate of 9 to 11%. So that means you have literally an 89 to 91% chance of getting away with murder. If you just shoot someone, that never gets solved. And so police ineffectiveness, unfortunately, is a driver of violence, because when you don't get justice in the criminal justice system, then you have retaliation. And we are constantly trying to stop the next shooting, stop the next retaliation. I'm very supportive of the new police chief, Larry Snelling. He's a fantastic man. I wouldn't testify to his behalf. He's got a tough, tough job, but we're hoping the police can become more effective across the city, but in those neighborhoods as well. So a lot of hard work ahead of us. Again, a very, very tough weekend. So this is a timely conversation to be going through this. But we have a chance, I think, as a city to do something that we've never done before and try and break through. Final thing I'll say is I'm now 59 years old. To date myself, I was born in 1964. We have not had less than 400 homicides in Chicago since 1965, since I was 2 months old. And for me, that's just a tragic record as a city, that we have to have the courage and the will to try and break through that. And we are well north of that, well above that, unfortunately. For the next couple of years, if we can scale and start to see the neighborhood level violent suppression that we're seeing in the communities where we're working, we're very hopeful the city can start to get to a very different place. I'll stop there. I know it's a lot to throw at you in a short amount of time, but I'd love to take any questions you have about anything. Yes, sir.
Let me just get the microphone. Thank you for being here. With the increased emphasis in STEM education throughout the school systems everywhere, are we not taking advantage of the humanities and more? And could this be a partial answer to your violence problem? Thank you.
It's a good question. I think, obviously, I ran Chicago Public Schools for 7.5 years, so I have a lot of affinity there. I don't feel that STEM is being emphasized to the detriment of other things, arts, the humanities, and others. I would argue that we need to do a lot better job in every area, particularly for young kids, again, particularly on the south and west sides, that we know that so many of the jobs of the future are in the STEM field, so we want to create those opportunities, but teaching students how to think, how to interact, how to think critically, how to solve problems. Those are skills that are going to last them a lifetime. So I never see these things as an either or. I see it as a both and candidly, I think we have to get a lot better at all of the above. You got the mic, you got some in the back, one right next to you.
Oh, is your question? No, go ahead.
Got you next, Marshall. So thank you for being patient. And thank you so much, Mr. Duncan, for speaking and coming here. One of the things that you mentioned that just piqued my interest, because I know something that our club is very involved with, is the job training program that you mentioned right there in local employers. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Alita and Rob, I see a couple other people here that are very involved in our club is with what's called our Job One program, where we do something similar for CPS students. There's a full training associated. So I'd love if you could talk a little bit more about that, and I have maybe a follow-up ask too as well. So
Give your follow-up ask.
Follow-up ask was, we are always looking for, this is for everyone in the room, employers. It's one of the biggest struggles that we have for this program right now, to make sure we can make it as rewarding for the students as possible, is to have good quality employers, and people help also if they can't maybe be employers to support that. So I'm wondering if there might be some synergy for us to work with some of the same employers that you work with there in the city. So,
happy to share, and I'm actually running down to our employment training center from here, but it's just at 1415 West 37th. You guys can reach out, come down and visit anytime, meet the team there. And so we're constantly, same as you, trying to grow the base of employers. For me, I have to have those jobs in the back end. I can't sell false hope. I can't ask people to put down the guns and do something very different if I don't have a different life for them. So we are always trying to scale. We've had some extraordinary employers, but as we scale this work across the city, we got to ratchet that up. The corporate community, the civic committee here in Chicago, has committed to trying to get 2,000 jobs a year for the alumni of our program. So the business community is starting to buy in, but we have to get there. So happy to share, happy to come down at any time. And obviously the work you're doing for CPS students is so critically important. And for so many of our kids, they may be the first in the family to have a job in the legal economy. So just that, for me, that exposure, that mentoring, job shadowing, career days, all that stuff, helping people find their interest, find their passion, there's no substitute for that. So appreciate what you're doing. If we can help or work together, we'd love to find a way to do that, and just come see what we're doing anytime you want to.
Good afternoon, Mr. Duncan, and thank you for your service to the community, and thank you for your time today. My name is Marlon Harvey. You mentioned earlier about Chicago Police Department. I'm a 33-year retired police officer, Chicago Police Department, very connected to the community. I'm the current Commodore of Jackson Park Yacht Club, where we have the highest number of inner city kids in our Sailing Youth program. I'm also on the board with the Chicago Archery Club, where I teach there. And I'm the president of Chicago Police Sailing Association. I said all those things to say that what I've discovered when we're dealing with our youth that I call hidden gems, where I'd like to see them coming back to us on a regular basis so that we can keep them graduated up into our programming, is the parents. We can't get a minor kid to participate in our programs if the parents aren't participating and getting them there. Oftentimes I've seen our youth come through and right away I'm like, we need that one, that's a good one. And I go over and I talk to the parents, I try to do the hard sell on them, and I never see the kid again. So one question I have is, in your experience in dealing with the community, do you run into that problem where you find that there's high potential for a youth, but you can't get cooperation with the parent? And do you have a solution or an answer to how to address that?
That's a great question. Back at you. Thanks for your service. And you've lived this in ways that very few have, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the challenge of parents is real. And you have, I would say every parent wants what's best for their child. Every parent's not in the best position to help them. And so when we work with 18-year-olds and up, we don't need any parental consent. So they just come into our program. For the young kids, we do. We do what I call relentless engagement. We'll go back to home 5, 10, 15 times and get cursed out, have the door slammed to you, but eventually we sort of get through and get that consent. And we have added, we've tried to get more sophisticated, which we did not have in the past. We should have had to start, we didn't do it. It's what we call a family case manager. And their full-time job is to try and really help families to stabilize. As you know, when we're working now, I sit down to 12-year-olds, 12, 13, 14, 15, if they're doing fine with us, but home is still chaotic, there's going to be a real limit, a real ceiling to what we can accomplish. So none of this is easy, but helping families with housing, helping families with substance abuse, helping mothers get their own high school diplomas. Every story is different, difficult, but we try to, those are the kids that need the most help. So those are the kids we can't afford to walk away from. So I can't honestly say, it's often difficult and change is much slower than we like, but I can't honestly say that we've ever had a child that we couldn't somehow bring into the program because we couldn't get to the mom or the grandma or somebody. We find a way to get them in, and then we have to try and keep them. But that challenge is very real, and I just think we can't, whatever those issues are, those are the kids that most need our intervention, need our presence, need us as models. And so we try not to let that stop us, but easier said than done.
Any other questions? All right. You're my last two questions.
Just one.
She runs a tight ship, boy.
So Arne, you have spent most of your life in Chicago. Why Chicago? Why is Chicago so much worse than LA and New York?
Man, that's a great question. I'm going to give you I don't have a good answer. I'll try and answer quickly, and it'll be not a great answer. If it's interesting, you look historically at the trends, New York and Chicago and LA were all the same in terms of homicides per citizen. And they have dropped, and we've just sort of, gone to a different level tragically. So there's a difference there. I'll give you a couple, I'm not a historian, I don't have the science list. I'll just give you a couple things that are interesting to me. So when I was growing up in the Black community, there were a couple major gangs, the Blackstone Rangers, the Gangster Disciples. I never want to romanticize or idealize that time, but there was structure, there was a hierarchy, there were rules of engagement. Going back 30, 40 years, a lot of the leaders of those groups got locked up, and rather than, the gang disappearing and cut off the head of the snake, a lot of other heads emerge. And so in our neighborhoods now, North Lawndale, where I'll be tonight, there are now, in one neighborhood, there are 33 different cliques. I don't even call them gangs, 33 different groups. And we're often in a crazy position. We're like negotiating with 17-year-olds who are running their own little group of 5, 6, 7 guys. And so I get that some of those Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, did some things that probably warranted them being locked up, but I'm not sure it made us safer. The second thing was the projects, the public housing projects here in Chicago. And to be clear, I hated them. I worked with kids back in Robert Taylor. I was terrified every time I went to Robert Taylor. There's nothing I liked about it. And when they tore those down, I supported that. When they tore those down, they mixed people from lots of different gang backgrounds into primarily Black middle-class neighborhoods that got destabilized. And there weren't sort of services that went with them, and job services and other things. And so I just say that there are two, obviously I'm really interested in public policy, two things that sort of make sense from a public policy standpoint. You arrest gang leaders, you tear down public housing, but absent other supports, absent other interventions, you basically get a lot of chaos. And so in my opinion, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Those two things have contributed to Chicago's challenges.
Hi, Mr. Duncan. Thank you for coming out to speak with us. You're a pretty well-traveled individual, including your back to your old days of playing professional basketball in Australia. Just kind of curious, like with what you've gotten exposed to around the world, though, have you noticed like other countries, other areas around the world that you kind of been fused to kind of seen? Whether there are areas that kind of help, maybe not so much the gun control, but maybe like the crimes, the violence that you've seen, though, that we can infuse into our city here?
These are all great questions. So again, I have strong opinions on this and happy to be wrong and push back, but I think America's obsession with guns is something that's a uniquely American problem. And playing ball in Australia, people don't have guns. It just doesn't happen. So our rate of gun death relative to other nations is staggeringly high. And our gun death is now the leading cause of death, which is sort of crazy. So I hate that. I don't know what to do about that. It just seems so deeply rooted in our culture. There have been some minor changes here. So I thought a lot about, when I came out of the administration, I thought a lot about sort of going into that space. I just didn't think I could be effective as a private citizen. And so what I've tried to do is give people a reason to put down the guns. But for me, that would solve a lot of this, is if we had fewer guns, if we had less guns. The final thing to say is that for me, the violence that we see, for me, is always like the last manifestation of a whole bunch of other social ills, of poverty, of discrimination, of segregation, of redlining. I live in Hyde Park. Hyde Park's a pretty safe neighborhood. You don't have those things. Lincoln Park, you don't have those things. And so all we're trying to achieve, easy to say and hard to do, is have healthy neighborhoods. We have healthy neighborhoods. You don't have these levels of violence and these levels of desperation. And we just have sort of lacked the commitment that other cities in America, but also other places around the country, have had a more thoughtful way of creating opportunity, not creating the haves and the have-nots that have driven so much of this. But there's a lot of root cause stuff that I would like to spend more time on. I'm very much now, unfortunately, in the sort of crisis space, and so I need other folks working on the root causes and helping us fix that over time. But we're just trying to do the best we can to get the bullets to stop flying now. Thank you. Last one. Go ahead, last one.
I don't know if I hit it right, but my question is, well, thank you so much for being here, first of all, and I'm curious, when you mentioned instabilities inside the home, what are some of the drivers of those instabilities within the family? Are they across the board, or is there something specific that stands out, like financial difficulties?
It's always poverty. It's often drug addiction. It's often alcoholism. It's dad may be locked up or gone. Mom is going through her struggles. I always ask our guys, and I hate to generalize because every story is unique and different, but I always ask our guys, sort of, when did you start to get caught up in the streets? In most, it's 13, 14, and that's when they had to start making some money because that was the reality of their home situation. And when you're 13, 14, there's one person hiring. That's the guy in the corner. And you can't go work other places. The youngest I've ever heard, it's actually one of our staff now, he had to start making money at 9 years old. That, you sort of think about, that was his reality. He had to make money at 9 years old. And so he did what he had to do. And this work really humbles you. You just sort of try and learn every day not to judge that, I had 2 parents, I had a roof over my head, I had 2 younger kids. If I had none of those things, I had to take care of my 2 younger siblings. He made the only choice he had. He's made another choice now to work with us, and he's actually doing an amazing job. But those are the kinds of challenges that drive people to where they're in a situation. Like, I got a million stories. One of the stories, a young guy told me in our first group, he said, I grew up in a household full of guns, and I wish we would have had toys, and we had guns. And he grew up to be a pretty big shooter. And I thought about my household. I had 2 educators as parents. I grew up in a household full of books. I became an educator. My sister became an educator. I went into my family's business. He went into his family business. It's not right or wrong. It's just what we're exposed to, and that's what we're trying to change.
Just a second. Thank you so much. So I'd like to present you with this great cup.
Thank you.
And you will receive in the mail some cookies from Al's Cookie Mix. My friend Alvin Green started a cookie company for his son and his friends that are on the autism spectrum. So when they age out of CPS at 21, they now have a job. And so we're supporting them this year. And so you'll receive some great cookies in the mail from me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks.
Thank you. And so with that, Andrew, and can my 2 new members, Tatiana and Travis, come up here to the front? We are inducting 2 new members today. Right here. You're over there.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alita. And thank you, Tatiana and Travis. It is my great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors and members of the Rotary Club of Chicago to welcome you as members of Rotary One. We welcome you not only for the fine fellowship that we shall share, but also for your talents, abilities, and enthusiasm that will help us carry out our many projects to make our community, our country, and the world a better place in which to live. Rotary is not a political organization, but all Rotarians are vitally concerned with everything pertaining to good citizenship and the election of good men and women to public office. Rotary is not a charitable organization. Its activities exemplify the charity and the sacrifices that one should expect from people who believe they have a responsibility to. Rotary is not a religious organization, but it is built on the eternal principles that served as a moral compass for people throughout the ages. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people pledged to upholding the highest professional standards. Rotarians believe that worldwide fellowship and international peace can be achieved when business people unite under the banner of service. You're already standing. And chosen for membership in the Rotary Club of Chicago because your fellow Rotarians believe you to be a leader in your profession and because you manifest the intelligence and commitment of heart that fit you to interpret and impart the message of Rotary. You are a representative of your profession in this club, and any information of an educational value pertaining to that profession must naturally come to us through you. At the same time, you become an ambassador from us to your profession, and we rely on you to carry the principles and ideals of service which we here inspire to those who share your professional activity. The community will know and judge Rotary by your embodiment of it in character and service, and we accept you as a member because we know our principles and organization will be safe in your keeping. We also expect you to give us the inspiration that will help us to become better Rotarians, And it's with this hope that I ask the president of Rotary Club of Chicago, Alita for still 4 weeks, to invest you with the distinguishing pin of a Rotarian and gladly offer you the right hand of Rotary Fellowship.
Well, welcome. And with that, Tatiana, if you can come up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Rotary One, for accepting me as your member. I'm very excited. It's been a while since I've been thinking about what is it that I wanted to take a part in, and I'm so happy that I waited and did my research. This came up very, I would say unexpectedly, that someone mentioned something about Rotary, and I said, what is a Rotary Club? And here I am. So thank you again. My name is Tatiana Klimko, and I am a program manager at America Needs You. We are a fellowship and program development, professional development program for first-generation college students. We're a national, and I was also a fellow myself back when I lived in New York City. So I come from different kinds of backgrounds, and I've done, I was part of in many different industries, but now I am a nonprofit, very happy to be here, and thank you so much for having me again.
And Travis?
Thanks everyone so much. Look forward to meeting all you guys and serving all together, but I'm from the northern suburbs of Chicago originally. I was at Goldman Sachs for about a decade and now recently switched over to a specialty insurance firm. But I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and giving back and making this city a better place, because I'm sure we can all agree it's hurting right now. So there's a lot of stuff we can all do individually and tapping into all of our networks, and I look forward to helping further the cause as well. So thanks so much.
Thank you. You all can have a seat. Okay. So we have some visiting Rotarians in the room. I'm sorry, the microphone's right there. Our visiting international Rotarians, if you could please stand and introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Riccardo Lorenzi. I'm coming from Italy. I'm living in Genoa. My club is Rotary Club Genoa north of Genoa. For whom I didn't expect to have a speech at your meeting, so excuse me because it's surprising me. And okay, I'm just shortly present myself. My wife Helena. We are just in vacation, and we were in New York last week. We are here for 1 week in Chicago. We will leave in on Sunday. We will be at Evanston, of course, on Thursday to have a visit there. I'm the president-elect of my club and also an assistant to the regional coordinator for public image of Region 15. So I'm involved in the public image of Rotary since a long time, and I'm really very happy to be here with you guys, and thank you very much for welcoming us.
And then we have some visitors in the room. Marshall, you have 2 guests.
So this is John and Marion Riley, 2 close friends of mine. John's brother and I went to law school together, and maybe I'll have them just comment.
I get to comment? You're going to let me talk? That's so strange. It's great to be here. It was my pleasure to be here when Marshall was inducted as president a few years back. I appreciate it so much what you do, and I just want to. One of the things that I have the privilege of doing is I'm tutoring for Chicago CRED, and that was one of the thoughtful reasons why Marshall invited me to come. And I think you can see in Arne that he's really fighting the good fight. So keep them in mind. And my work with them consists of tutoring students who do not have their high school diploma to get their high school degree. And it's not a GED. It's an online program called Penn Foster. And I don't get any money from Penn Foster when I say this, but I know some of you may be tangentially connected with people getting high school diplomas or know populations that do. It is a far more workable alternative to a graduate equivalency diploma, which is really hard and requires a lot of advanced study that may not result in a passing grade. So I would encourage you, if you have anybody in that area, to look at the Penn Foster. It's done wonders, I think, for Chicago CRED. Every year, we're graduating about 90 students from the centers that Arne was talking about. And it means everything in the world to them to get that degree. So that's it.
Thank you. And then we have,
Penn, P-E-N-N. Yeah.
and then we have some guests in the back.
Hello again. Marlon Harvey, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois on the South Side. As I said before, 33 years as a Chicago police officer, 20 of those years in the Mounted Patrol Unit, 5 of those years as a representative at FOP, supporting our officers working street and traumatic incidents. 20-year plus sailor, racer. I'm on the board 10 plus years and currently the Commodore of Jackson Park Yacht Club. We have the highest number of black sailors in the United States out of Jackson Park. Highest number of U.S. Coast Guard black boat captains. I'm a 100-ton captain, Jackson Park Yacht Club. Highest number of black youth students in the sailing program, 8 to 12-year-olds, 5 years plus in running out of Jackson Park Yacht Club. I'm also an archery teacher with Chicago Archery Club, level 2. I didn't say it earlier, I didn't want to belabor Mr. Duncan's time, but I also teach mariners in training with CMAC, which is Chicago Maritime Arts Center, where we get 100% job placement rate for high school seniors that take our course that I teach. It's a 4-week course. And what I discovered a little earlier at Bowen High School, where we're teaching now, is it's really hard to get the students to integrate into that. Even though we promise them 100% job placement rate on commercial boats through shipmasters. These are not your entry-level minimum wage jobs. These are career jobs that they can get and get seat time and become boat captains. So I'm hoping to continue that with CMAC in Bronzeville, at Dunbar or the Air Force Academy. And so I appreciate you having me here, Alita, and thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm also the president of Chicago Police Sailing Association. What we do there, I'm forgetting, that's true. It's really an organization to support our Gold Star families. They're the ones that really suffer the loss of an officer that we've lost in the line of duty. They carry on that vacuum. And so through the Chicago Police Sailing Association, we have a race called the Gold Star Regatta, which is June 15th this year. And we support our Gold Star families through that race. And then we give sailing opportunities for law enforcement to come out to try to get exposed, because sailing to me is my peace. It's my religion. When I go out there alone, everything just goes away, and I like to share that with officers. I think that's a good way to help them out. So thank you, thank you.
Daryl Laster, Marlon's first cousin. He's virtually his brother. He's taught me everything from how to jump off garages on the South Side to how to play football, how to drive a stick, you name it. I'm here visiting today. I'm also a Chicago native, born and raised here. Done a lot of franchising with my father of Popeye fried chicken stores on the South Side. So many of the students that Mr. Duncan spoke to, I've dealt with. I've given them jobs. And as he points out, it's more than just an employer-employee. I mean, those were my kids. And to see them clock out at night and go home and get their peace, it was just, anywho. I'm now a DC resident. I'm here visiting over the weekend, spending time with my brother and my cousin. I miss Chicago. It's home. It's home. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'll turn it over to my brother.
We have a wonderful Rotary Club in DC I can introduce you to.
How you doing? My name is Brandon Laster. I'm the younger brother of Daryl, the better looking guy. I can't compete with my cousin Marlon. They say he looks like Steve Harvey. I'll let you decide about that. I currently own a cleaning company with my brother, Chicago Cleaning. We do some of the bigger venues in Chicago. I don't know if you are familiar with Joy District, Hubbard Inn, Beyonda. We do Aunt Martha's, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, things of that nature. And this is my first time here. Marlon told me about Alita. She's really nice. And I was like, I want to check it out. So I'm liking the vibe. I think all of you have spoken wonderfully, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. So these are our wonderful upcoming opportunities. Next week, we have David Goldberg from the Anti-Defamation League talking about the state of hate and anti-Semitism. That's going to be an interesting conversation, and I'm sure I have a lot to say, so I hope you all still like me afterwards. June 18th, we have our club assembly, my last one. I'm sad about that though. So at our club assembly, you get to hear about everything all of our wonderful committees are doing, all the work that they've done, the things that are coming up, the things that we want to be a part of. And then afterwards, we are having a membership meeting. I'm sorry, on the 11th. I got it mixed up. On the 11th, we're having a membership meeting. So if anyone wants to stay after that meeting and talk about membership, how we can help out, what new great things you all want to see as members, what you know, all those great things, we'd love to have you. And then I'm giving out awards on the 18th. I haven't really figured out what they are yet, but we're giving out awards. So that'll be a great time. On June 20th, we are having a reunion. It's homecoming. I've decided we're having a Rotary One homecoming on June 20th at Joy District at 5:30. We want you to come out. I'm going to send letters to every single member this week, inviting them to come out. Let's get back together, get to know each other, talk to each other, rebuild all those great relationships. The reason I've been here for so long, coming to meetings and seeing people. Call all your old members that we haven't seen in a while and say, come out. Let's meet all our new members, Richard, Travis, Kristen. Let's all get to know each other at a good time. And there is a small cost to this, but it's mostly for the tip to the servers because they're giving us a couple of cocktails and some appetizers for free. I want to be able to tip the servers nicely for taking care of us because we can be a little needy. So we should want to tip them very well. So I look forward to seeing all of you all on the 20th. And then on the 25th, I really want to see you all. Sarah's installation on June 25th, 11:30 to 1:20. Sarah is going to make an awesome president. It has been a joy to work with her this year as president-elect. I look forward to helping support her as immediate past president next year. She has some great ideas. She really loves this club as much as I do, as much as Nancy does, who's going to be president after her, and Shada, who's going to be president next. We really love this club and want to help this club grow and be successful and vibrant like we used to be. I want to get us back on the 5th floor where we used to meet on the 5th floor every single week and have 100 members. Let's get back to that. Let's bring guests. But Sarah is that first part in that. So please register now so that we can welcome in Sarah into her year. The Rotary International President-elect Stephanie Urchik will be here to install her. So that's going to be another great time. All right, y'all, starting June 1st. So let's look around the room, my members. How many of you all did not register for lunch today? Raise your hand. Well, not you all, y'all are guests, my actual members. All of you all that did not, starting June 1st, if I don't hear from you all by 11 a.m., you're going to donate a wonderful happy $10 in Happy Bucks. And so the reason for that is like today, so many people didn't register. The kitchen had to scramble to bring up meals. Half the group had dinner, the other had lunch, the other half didn't. They're scrambling for desserts. I understand we think, oh, it's a restaurant, it's okay. But as a food service professional, I can tell you, even if I have extras, it's a lot to put that together on a moment's notice. So let's be kind to the Union League Club and give them a more accurate count of who's going to be here, so we don't have to pull chairs and all those other things. And that's what happens when an extra 8 people show up that didn't register, it becomes a lot. And so, not that I don't want you to come. We love to have you here. And even if you don't register, we will accommodate you. We always do. But we just need to be better about it. We're real bad about registering at the last minute, but we have to get better. And as you all know, food cost is horrible. So let's, help them plan appropriately so that we can all plan appropriately and everyone can be comfortable. Job 1, employers needed. So we have 2 amazingly wonderful, great young ladies that are excited to get a job this summer. And we have a job fair coming up, which will go out in the email by the end of the week because we haven't picked the date yet. But we need people to come and be a part of the job fair, help them hone those interview skills that we taught them. We put them through some great job readiness training. Now they need to use those skills that we taught them, that wonderful resume they put together that we helped them put together. So we need people to come out and help interview them at the job fair, and I need at least 2 people to want to hire them. I'm going to hire one, so I need somebody else. But we need our members to come out and be a part. It's one of our best programs that we have. So let's show up for our students and donate to the Rotary Foundation and the Rotary One Foundation. That is how we do all the great work that we do. The money we give to the Rotary Foundation comes back to us in 3 years. Every dollar that we give to the Rotary One Foundation helps us do the service projects that we do. All of our international service projects, the kayak cleanup, our Job One, our scholarships that we give out, that comes from our Rotary One Foundation. We need to get to that in order to keep doing the things that we do. And this coming Monday is Rotary Means Business for downtown Chicago. It is at 5:30 at Cafe Chow, so please come out. Let's network, let's do business together, let's bring other people in. It's not just for Rotarians, but it's a great way for us to learn how to network together on a relationship level, because we all do better work and you all want to do more work with people that you know and you know why they do the work that they do, because now you want to do work with them. So just what Rotary is built off of, 5 men coming together that wanted to work with like-minded people that wanted to do service in the world too. So our Friday roundtable, Richard comes all the time. He's back there in the back. A couple other people. Our roundtable is awesome. We just meet on the 4th floor at noon and hang out and have lunch and get to meet each other. We normally meet a couple of international Rotarians that couldn't make it to Tuesday lunch. They come to Friday. It's a great time just to kind of hang out on a Friday. And if you have any other great speaker recommendations, Eric Campbell, raise your hand. Great Eric right there. He is our programming chair. He would love to have some help with all this great programming that we do. You can reach out to Eric. You can also find him in the Ignite app that has his phone number and his email address. Or you can call the office or email the office with any ideas that you have. You can look at the calendar. If it's open, we can help schedule somebody for that day, but we don't get the great speakers we get without input from our members. So, and with that, if we can all stand to say the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And number 5, will it be fun? And with that, I close our meeting. No, I